Gavin, in 3 weeks' time, you're going to Camp Crystal Lake.
It feels too real now.
Do you want to prepare some more?
Yes, please.
Right, we're going to watch Freddy vs. Jason.
All right, what is going on in Freddy vs. Jason? I'm saying it like that. Possibly one of the most coherent films we've had for a while.
So, after being dragged to hell, Jason is manipulated by Freddy Krueger to kill kids in the name of the Dream Master.
Yeah.
So people will fear him again and his power will be restored. The first 6.5 minutes of this film do a lot of heavy lifting.
It really does help having Freddy basically doing Shakespeare soliloquies for us.
The first 6.5 minutes, I tell you what, gets through a lot of real estate.
He's just direct addressing us. I feel like he just keeps popping back and forth to tell us how it's going as well.
So you think about that first 6.5 minutes,
Yeah.
absolutely wild
Yeah.
what it gets through.
Yeah.
Because you see... Because we know at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, so this is how it connects.
Yeah.
It does actually connect directly on from
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell, but has to obviously take place before Jason X.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah,
even the prologue to Jason X, where
Yeah.
he's still on Earth and being studied before the time jump.
Yeah.
So it's in between, sandwiched in between those films, if Jason X is canon.
Yeah.
So we see Krueger pulls Jason down to hell. So
Yeah.
at the beginning of the film, what you're seeing, they're in dream interaction, is in hell.
Yeah.
But Jason bodily is dead.
Yes.
Or just in one of his periods
Whatever
of
it is,
dormancy.
Yeah. But
An elaborate plan by Freddy.
it is elaborate, but he does it with such conviction and such confidence. I'm like, yeah, that'd probably work, guy.
That's the thing I've always thought about Freddy Krueger. That is a man who has conviction. He has a look.
Do you know what the thing that because we keep talking about it sort of in the pub and stuff like that, but because I think you said to me recently, you're like, you saw Robert Englund at a Comic-Con, a photo of him, you're like, fuck, he looks really good. And in this as well, when he's normal, when he hasn't got the makeup on, you're like, fucking hell, he looks good. It's because it's like the Palpatine thing, isn't it? It's you don't realize
because you didn't realize how young he was in the first one.
Whereas now, he's quite handsome in this.
Because you thought he could always have been that age when he was a dirty little bastard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But again, to just go back to my point, the prologue, you see Freddy, you see him being human evil Freddy.
Yeah.
You see the parents come from, they get through so much.
Yeah.
But then we also have a Pam Voorhees cameo.
Yes. Yeah.
That was written to be Betsy Palmer. And they, I saw this interview with her on YouTube where she was like, yeah, they wanted me back. They want to pay me though.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
I was not doing it then.
Which is weird because this doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look cheap at all.
No.
I feel like some of it looks really good.
I actually haven't looked into it. It's probably the biggest budget, right? And maybe the remake.
I thought Freddy's makeup, is fantastic.
Was it the interesting thing about the Freddy makeup in this is, and this is not about Freddy this show,
Yeah.
but it is a little bit today.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see him. This is the devil incarnation because he's got pointed teeth.
Yeah.
He's almost, because he says and then I became something more.
Yeah.
So he's almost this demonic, hellish entity that because he's in hell but can kind of manipulate it still.
Yeah, it feels like he's kind of the top dog in hell.
Yeah, he's one of the guys.
I think, he's one of the boys. Just one of the boys in hell, just kicking it. I remember it being more fun than it was, because this is the one I think I had at uni, because this came out 2003. So I think by the time it came out on DVD, I used to rewatch it loads with my friend Ollie. And from around the house, I would just hear periodically just Ollie shouting, "Linderman," because that guy does that voice.
Sorry, I just realized one thing just got in my head.
Yeah.
I didn't do focus.
That's okay.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, I do remember it being more fun than this, because I feel like
it should be incredibly fun.
It's quite nasty.
There are fun bits, but the whole premise feels like they kind of got more of it.
Yeah.
Do you know? I think this is a problem where this idea has been kicking around for so long.
Yeah.
And there's so many treatments of it. There's so
Yeah.
many ideas about it. There's also, and we'll probably get onto this more when we dig into the finale and how the final act plays from it. It's can there be a winner?
Yeah.
Like, how do you resolve that tension? Because two parties are bringing their toys to the yard.
Yeah.
I don't want my toy to be beaten by your toy, and vice versa. Because you're like, well, if Freddy wins, all the Jason fans are alienated, and vice versa.
Yeah,
so
I
they
know
really
what
have to
you
like
mean.
thread that needle.
I don't think I realized how, until doing this podcast, is like how much this movie was like trying to get off the ground constantly. Because like I was looking at like some of the names attached to it, and you're like, what? Like Guillermo del Toro at one point.
That's interesting.
What?
He did,
like,
because he was knocking around the Hollywood that time. Because he did Mimic, didn't he?
Yeah,
that was like, oh, we should try this guy out on something.
Peter Jackson.
Kind of wish.
Yeah.
I wish either of them did that.
But the one, so I was looking at it, I was like, some of the people Guillermo del Toro is obviously bonkers for it. I don't know what kind of film that would be, and the same with Peter Jackson, really. Even though, like,
I can see Peter Jackson from like Brain Dead, like that really anarchic
the
film.
Feeble sort of thing, yeah.
I used to love Brain Dead. You know, Brain Dead. I've not seen that for years.
Yeah.
I used to love when that priest who looked like Father Ted in my head just says, "I kick ass for the Lord."
Yeah. But there was one name, and he went a different way instead, and I was like, oh, what's that alternate reality? James Wan. Apparently, it was James Wan's film, and he was just like,
How old was James Wan at that time?
Well, I guess like Saw is not far off that, but he went.
He's probably older than I think he is. Yeah,
he went to do Saw instead. That's
Wow.
a different. We have a different like trajectory there, don't we?
Man, he would have been 25, 26.
Jesus. But yeah, he went and did Saw instead. But apparently, he was like the main guy gonna do it, and then didn't, and then it just.
It's a tricky one with this because it's like you're working with properties bigger than you are as a director.
Yeah.
So I bet there's a lot. I bet in one sense it's not a very satisfying project because you have to like keep a lot of parties happy, and there's like who's doing what.
It's also really interesting that they were trying to get such a young person after like they basically got a 12-year-old to do Jason X.
Yeah, and then the one before.
Yeah.
It's like, what you do? So the setting. So there's two settings here.
Yeah.
We've got Springwood, the setting for the Nightmare on Elm Street films, which is meant to be in Ohio.
Yeah.
And then we've got Crystal Lake, which we know because of our planning is in New Jersey.
Yes.
Now, that's about 600 miles apart.
Right.
And they drive there in what seems like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, like the hospital feels very Halloween-y to me. All those scenes, they're shot kind of like, you know, like all the like weird Cult of Thorns stuff. That's what it kind of feels like.
Well, I think it's the interesting thing. So this, again, just balancing the film.
Yeah.
Jason gets the majority of the kills.
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head, I think Freddy only gets a couple.
Okay, yeah.
So, because that's the whole point. Freddy is
weak.
in hell, he's
Yeah.
weak. And the reason why, similar to like the Cult of Thorn, is there's been a conspiracy that the town of Springwood knew they needed to neuter Freddy's power, which is making kids so scared of him.
Yeah.
So they've redacted all the obituaries.
Yeah.
And they've basically covered up that there was ever a Springwood killer.
Yeah.
So Jason gets the majority of the kills, but a lot of the plot machinations are about Freddy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's about Laurie's dad and mum and like her boyfriend, and anyone that sees Freddy in a dream are immediately incarcerated in a mental hospital.
Yeah.
Which is like quite fun plotting.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So even though Jason is the main killer, it feels like so much of this is the puppet master.
Well, that's why it is really fun, because I think they do a really good job of going, we know this is a wild old plot, but this is how it's doing. And then I just love the idea that Freddy can't control Jason, and Jason, he's like, right, okay, I'll take it from here, and Jason just will not be controlled, just loves killing so much.
It's what he's good at.
Yeah, he's very good at it.
And this is what I want to know is like, does he know?
Yeah.
Does it like, how did Freddy know about Jason? At what point, or once you're in hell, do you have like,
you see all the naughty stuff?
are you omnipotent?
Yeah.
Do you know like, oh, he's a good killer?
Are you getting like emails going, oh, guess who's coming today? You'll believe this guy. And it's just like a little rundown on
Or is that group chat?
Yeah.
Anyone know a good killer in the northeast area? 600 miles willing to travel?
Yeah. Is it on Friday the 13th?
No.
No.
So I was looking at the wiki because I didn't see this in the film, but someone says in the wiki that this film takes place on Sunday, September 14th, which for me feels like an oversight.
Yeah.
Because like,
just set it on Friday the 13th, lads.
I mean, you're doing all the other fan service.
Bit on the nose there. They're like, nah, we won't do that one.
Oh, Freddy might not want people to think, oh, it's Friday 13th.
Yeah.
That's not his plan.
It was fun reading about this. There's not loads of trivia knocking about for this, but one of my favorite bits was apparently Rey Mysterio, the wrestler, so he wears a mask because he's lucha, was Freddy's stunt double. That's like a big it's like this huge like urban legend. Like Rey Mysterio is very short.
So it's not true.
Well, this is the thing. And he hadn't debunked it or confirmed it for years. And then recently he was on a podcast, very recently, he was on a podcast and the host was just like, before you go, can we just fucking clear something up? Were you Freddy's stunt double in Freddy vs. Jason? And he was like, no, but there's a chance that my uncle was because he used to do stunt work and he's a lot taller than me. And it's this weird moment where the interviewer's like, so was it your uncle? And he was like, I don't know.
How would you not know?
It's like, how have you never asked him?
If my uncle was
alive.
in Freddy versus Jason,
yeah,
I'd be asking him.
That's the thing is like, he keeps getting, Rey Mysterio's asked about it all the time. And they're like, oh, was it your uncle? And he was like, I don't know, I've never asked him. What? Come on, Ray. Like, I feel like that's worth a text.
Yeah.
Unc, were you in Freddy versus
If I was
Jason?
the interviewer, I was like, text him now.
Yeah.
Or wait.
He literally
I'll
just
play
goes,
a song.
in the interview, he just goes, yeah, go on then. Just text him.
That feels a waste.
Well, let's talk about the killer. Us. This is fun. Jason's look.
Massive.
Yeah, absolutely massive.
Absolutely massive. And I guess the controversial thing, not Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
It's Ken Kersinger, and we mentioned this in Jason Takes Manhattan. He's the cook that's thrown against the window.
Right.
So he's a stunt performer in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Love it.
And then for this, they booted Kane Hodder. And like, this is a sad thing because this treatment, this concept, been knocking around for a long time.
Yeah.
Kane Hodder thought he was down because he's the guy who played Jason in the last 3 movies.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, he thought he was like, it's going to be me. He'd been sent treatments and scripts, and then at the last minute, apparently Ronnie Yu, the director, was like, I'm happy to be, if you want it to be Kane, it can be Kane. Apparently a producer just went, no, he needs to go a different direction.
What do you mean different direction?
Like 2 inches
big
taller.
Fucking guy, mate.
2 inches taller.
Oh, do you know what I was thinking? That bit bigger.
So England's 5'9".
Yeah.
And I think this guy's like 6'5", 6'6".
Oh, so they wanted him much bigger than...
I think, the scene, so they have 2 major fights in the film, one in the real world, one in the dream world.
Yeah.
So the one in the dream world, I think they wanted just a bigger visual contrast.
Right.
I mean, it's not much in it. I think we've seen Kane Hodder in the other films. He's a big fella.
Yeah, I think that's very odd. I did see that line. Yeah, we went a different direction with it. It's like, it's not fucking...
It's not like he's talking. It's not Hamlet.
Come on.
It is Hamlet to me.
Yeah, it is.
No, Krueger is Hamlet.
Yeah, Krueger's Hamlet. Yeah. It's odd, isn't it? But also, like, I'm not attached to any of the Jason performances, if I'm honest.
No, I think that's the thing is he's a bit more like the type of Jason where it's like, you remember in the early Jasons, he did run.
Yeah.
And we might come back to this next week. Whereas in this one, and there's this soft transition in the Jason films to him being more Michael-like.
Yeah.
Of just standing there. If you think about like New Blood and the Birthday Blues, it's about him being a presence and just catching up to people.
Yeah.
And that's like a bit more how he is in this film, where he just appears and he manifests.
Yeah.
But in terms of his look and design, I've written, he looks like Biltong. At the beginning, he looks like something I'd buy for ramen down a farmer's market.
Yeah, like the ripped
At the beginning, his head is like black.
Yeah.
And it's like gnarled, it's like leathery flesh that's gone hard.
Yeah, it's not good.
And like his hair is really bedraggled. Because you're thinking like, we're talking now, like decades and decades of decomposition, but also reanimation.
Yeah, constantly, yeah. He must be shattered. He's like, that's enough now.
I think actually shattered.
Yeah.
Also, there's a second Jason in this movie. Different guy who played him in the post-credit, in the ending that they reshot. So the guy who brings Freddy's head out of the water, different bloke.
For any reason.
Wanted to go a different way.
Yeah. That's strange. The one thing that I did... No, do I like it? I don't know. I've written it down that I did like it, but I'm not sure. Is they give him like the kryptonite of water. So not only is he just afraid of going to water, but when there's water coming down in one of the fights, he's literally like visually spooked.
I think that's what we should do. That's what we should learn.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's also like I think the writers have gone, we didn't write that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's never appeared in any other film.
No.
If anything, he likes to hang out near water.
Yeah, constantly.
At any given opportunity, and sometimes goes in it.
That's the thing. If you were afraid of it, you probably wouldn't be doing most of your kills near a lake.
No. Or get on a boat in Jason Takes Manhattan.
No, exactly, yeah.
Or like, we even postulated in Jason Takes Manhattan to get from the boat to Manhattan, he probably walks across the seabed.
Yeah.
He loves water.
At this point, I guess there's no point asking it, but like, is Jason supernatural? I don't even know what he is now.
Well,
because I don't know if like he's basically like almost Godzilla-like, where he just slumbers and then awakens when someone needs him.
Well, in the words of Pam in the prologue, your special ability is no matter what they do to you, you cannot die.
Love it. Like that a lot.
And that's like, well, now he just is. He's eternal.
Yeah. But then he's not constantly doing stuff. And it feels like Freddy has to wake him up.
You see that once he like talks to him, because in hell he creates this scenario where Freddy, disguised as Pam, communicates to him and says, you have to come back to life. And then you see that like his corpse kind of like rematerializing and the organs kind of reinflating.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
It is quite cool. And it's just like he needs that, maybe that mother's love and mother's motivation to like spur him on.
Yeah.
But it's actually,
But it's actually not his mom.
It's Freddy.
Like, it's Freddy.
But then can Freddy tap into his like psychology to make it look like, do you know what I mean? I mean, we're thinking about it more than anyone has ever thought about it.
Definitely thinking about it more than anybody in this film has ever thought about it. I know that, yeah.
But yeah. So he's 1,000% supernatural.
Yeah.
And also just wanted to say here, and we might talk about this with the girls, I do feel in this film that Jason is very much positioned more as the morally good guy, and Freddy is the bad guy.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Who's good and who's bad?
He's being manipulated.
Yeah, true.
Freddy is masterminding the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he's actually the one doing the killings through Jason.
True. Yeah.
They also position like Jason, I think, is like, even though he does kill her, he does also save some people at the end, and he saves Laurie right at the end because Freddy's about to kill her, and then Jason like kills him.
Yeah, it's. Yeah,
I think the lesser of the two evils.
Trying to figure out the motivation, because there's at one point like the Kelly Rowland kill that almost feels like they're double teaming, and it's like, oh, but is Jason actually just trying to get at Freddy and she's in the way? Sort of thing?
At what point does he have autonomy again?
Because Freddy literally like goes woo, like looks, and then she turns around and gets killed. So like that almost feels like they're working together a little bit, which I guess if I could go back, that's kind of what I would have wanted. But it's really hard, I guess, to have like a team up of two baddies if one of them can't talk.
I think that's because I think after this film there was an idea mooted to do Michael Myers as well.
Right.
It's like you can't have two that don't speak.
No.
Because then Freddy, that's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
And then I think they also then pursue that idea of like Ash from Evil Dead, fighting them both. But then you've got more of a clear like heroic figure.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Because I think there is a fan film which I watched about 30 seconds of for switching it off, which was Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Pinhead was muted at one point.
Off.
But I think he's almost considered like the good guy in the sense because one of Laurie's final acts is she gives him the machete back.
Yeah.
She puts it into the water, like going, there you go, thank you.
Yeah, that is strange actually, yeah. Yeah. We could talk about Freddy a little bit as well because he's fun in this. But some of the lines that Freddy has about his motivations and stuff like that, you're just like, I think there's one where he goes, when I was alive, I was a little naughty.
Yeah, it's the understatement of the year, isn't it?
Hang on now.
As the understatement. Yeah, I actually think that...
It's just one of the boys, just boys being boys,
I think that's one of the...
pretty grim.
Because in the original film, I think I'm right in saying, they don't say he's a paedophile.
No.
They say child murderer.
Yeah.
This is one of the few films that I think really makes says that aspect.
Yeah.
And I do think it's probably the scariest scene in this film. It involves neither of them really. It's the girl with her eyes gouged out.
Oh yeah.
Who has been molested and killed by Freddy.
Yeah.
Talking to Laurie.
Yeah.
That is actually quite a dark and sinister scene.
It's unnecessary in a film called Freddy versus Jason, I think.
Yeah.
Personally.
That's in the same film as like the two stoners in the field, like just like chatting to him.
Yeah, like I just feel like there's a lot of really nasty stuff in this.
Like talk about other Freddy's lines. Again, I think this film was like heavily rewritten on the fly, and so I'm not saying this is the greatest bit of nuanced writing ever, but like towards the end of the film when they're like fighting and antagonizing each other, Freddy, who in the films over the years is kind of witty or jokey and it became more jokey, whether people like that or not, but he calls him Mama's Boy.
Yeah.
Which is like a funny insult, Mama's Boy.
Yeah.
And the writers were like, oh, we quite like that line. You know what they changed it to in the film? What? Hey, asshole.
Why?
The most generic insult.
That's really strange.
Anyway,
thing is, I guess like these films are probably a lot of stuff happening on set where they just be like, "Yeah, that's great, well done, Rob."
Yeah,
like, yeah, they put. I guess like there's probably just a lot of excitement around actually getting it going, and then also we need to get this done. But it does feel in some bits it feels like unnecessarily.
I think totally
like barbed. Really... Like I don't like the guy and how he speaks to his girlfriend, like when she's smoking and stuff like that. Like that guy's a fucking asshole. And it's just really nasty shit like that.
I think you're right, because it's like tonally, you could make it just really fun.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think this is the problem here, where 2003, it's all over the show.
Yeah.
Post Scream.
Yeah.
But then they're also trying to like retread some of the original tropes. So more sex, more boobs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what is this?
Fine with the boobs bit. Fine with that. I don't mind that. But do it nice. Do it nicely.
Do it nicely. Doing a more light-hearted, I'd say.
Yeah, it's really just tonally it's just kind of all over the place, because I think if you did it more like the tone of like Six, like very silly, because it can be, and because
it should all be lighter.
Yeah, they should always be like. There's no reason for these to be as like grim as they are, but I guess it's probably around the like. And I mean, another one of the people that was really heavily involved apparently early on was Rob Zombie, and you can kind of be like, I could see him doing this. It feels like a Rob Zombie movie. It's almost like constant metal cues and stuff like that.
Yeah, trying to map it out. Like, what's the shift? You'd have to see timeline of all the other films around this period, but it's like New Nightmare, Scream becomes self-reflexive, and then there's almost like a backlash to make stuff harder or nastier. And then obviously this film comes before the Platinum Dune stuff, which is the darker, grislier, harder, more metallic feeling films. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like around, I guess, like late 90s going into the 2000s, you had, even in video games, wrestling, all that stuff was bad boys, attitude, like naughty boys, basically. It was like the late 90s.
And this is the naughtiest boy of all, Freddy Krueger.
It's just constant naughty boys being naughty. And sometimes it's a bit much, isn't it? As not naughty boys ourselves, it's too much naughtiness sometimes. I mean, I've written the sexy stuff from Freddy is too much for me.
Too much.
I don't like when he's like having sex with that thing. No,
as soon as you said that, that's what it provoked. Because having Freddy, this is why I really love the Nightmare on Elm Street films, because you can obviously just play with reality, and in a second, without having exposition or whatever, do something very different. And in this film, having Laurie be able to go back to Camp Crystal Lake instantly and see Jason being bullied, which is something we've not really seen depicted before.
You're
like, what a cool scene. And I do think that's what creates sympathy between Laurie and Jason. So she feels like, she gives him the machete. She's like, he saved me, and I know what he went through. Because that's where Freddy and Jason really diverge. Is Freddy was a child murderer, and in this one a paedophile, whereas Jason was a neglected child with special needs. So he's like, in terms of your sympathy,
because I don't know the Elm Street movies that well. I feel like, obviously, being a paedophile is the worst. Being a child murderer is also pretty bad. But do the films go down and go...
They try to give sympathy to Freddy at one point.
Right.
Well, his mum was a nun.
Right.
And she was in I'm going to use the insensitive terms because the film use it, but it's like a mental asylum.
Right, okay,
And the idea is that she was sexually assaulted by 1,000 maniacs.
Okay, right.
So there's this phrase that Freddy is the child of 1,000 maniacs or whatever, something like that.
Okay.
So you're almost like going like, well, he didn't have the best... I mean, like, come on, though.
Can't you just make him a murderer? Why do you have to make him a child murderer? Just murdering is pretty bad.
It's all bad.
Because that's the thing, is that you want to be able to watch these films almost like guilt-free now, whereas at the time, maybe we let a lot more things go, including child murdering.
I think this this is going to sound a wild thing to say. It's all about tone.
Yeah.
Because there's a version of the Freddy Krueger films where that's just a pretense to get him into the state. And it's so far from reality.
Yeah.
Because it's like magic, essentially.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So one wrong step and you fucked it. Because you're like, well, this isn't a laugh anymore for me. Because it's like, it's really interesting. I think you and I, when we watched Barbarian, we had a similar thing because like everybody was like, oh, this is going to be this, and the first part of that is great.
I just want the Airbnb horror film.
Exactly. But then the second part, you have to spend 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and like 15 of those are just this single character who has like done something really, really terrible. And he's played as a joke. And I was like, I'm just sitting there going like, this is fucking
It's almost
bullshit.
like a weird knockabout. Yeah, I don't like it.
You've got to spend this time with your only single character is Justin Long, and you're like, you've just shown me him doing something absolutely disgusting, and now I'm meant to laugh at him fucking about with a tape measure. You fucked that up. You can't do that. Like, or maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know. But same with Freddy. Come on,
Jason should just appear.
Just say he killed a priest. That's
no. He's allowed to kill people in a fictional film. Just don't make it too gross.
All right, and let's have a little kill overview. Give me the stats.
So we have 22 kills.
Wow.
But that's also if you include Freddy.
Okay.
But Freddy's already dead.
Yeah.
But he does get killed.
Yeah.
So that's 22 kills overall, 1 in Freddy.
Yeah.
But then Freddy kills 2. So take those away. That means Jason's got 19.
Okay.
I believe.
If we include in Freddy.
If we don't include Freddy. If we do include Freddy, I think Jason's got 20.
I think we should not include Freddy. I mean, he's winking at the end. He doesn't seem very fucking dead.
That's such the great hedges. And also, he got killed by the parents.
Yeah, no, he is dead. He's dead.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Do you know what? Like, for a lot of it, though, to do with, like, the characters who get killed and that, for a lot of it, they do actually talk like normal people for a bit. And I kind of like it. And, like, I usually hate a stoner character. Because I just think it's just
we've had loads of them.
And we've had loads of them. But the main sort of one that's meant to look like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, for sure. Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
I actually kind of like him. I actually kind of, like, because I knew people like that as well, like exactly like that. And I don't know, like, he got a couple of chuckles out of me. Like, when he's like, man, that goalie was pissed. That's a funny line. Like,
yeah.
His death.
And the nerd as well. The little like nerdy version.
Yeah,
guy.
I like him. I like Lindemann.
I actually like Laurie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's some good people in there. And then I think like the little Freddy slug thing.
What is that meant to be when it comes in with the bonk? This is, because you made the Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Something that is so of the time.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And like, because it's funny because it's got a Freddy-ish face, but it's like, I guess it's like the smoking caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland sort of thing, like bringing in the bomb.
I've not thought of that, absolutely.
But I was like, this is nonsense, but I kind of really like it.
I wish it was a physical thing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, in one of my early notes on this is like, do you think they got new computers to do all the CGI? Yeah. There's so much of that early 2000s where CGI became easier to do.
Yeah.
But obviously the quality threshold dropped a lot.
Yeah.
So even in the beginning, all that blood and it's just like everything is embellished with like a lot of special like CGI.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like I do like the function of that little caterpillar fella, like to possess the stoner guy, but it like there's no, when you look at it, you're like, there's no like reflection on it or anything like that. It's just like plonked, like we'll stick that in there. Yeah. It's like if I tried to do it, basically. Like but it's in the film that went out to the
cinemas. That's what's going to appear on the table right now.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Well, I'll put it in and you'll see how badly it would do. But I think his like Bill, is that his name? Yeah, Bill Freeberg, who gets possessed, the stoner guy, him getting chopped in half is fucking brilliant.
That's good. Do you like the bed kill?
On Trey, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he fucking deserves it because he's such an asshole. And because that's
like, don't touch me afterwards.
That just keeps going. It just keeps going and keeps going. Like, and you think he's dead. Oh, you're like, okay, he's done. And then he like pulls him out. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, fucking brilliant. I love him. He's such a knob.
I also do when Kia gets killed.
Oh, yeah.
just flies for miles against that tree.
Goes for ages,
like it's just it's so long. It's so funny. Because also, what's weird about that kill? And like, have you ever seen Kamal and Johnny's bit of comedy about this?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
because it's when Freddy says the dark meat common, and Kamal was like in a theater where everyone groaned about that. It was like, you know, he's a child molester and murderer. It's like, do you have high expectations of him? Oh no, not racism. It's like, but then she immediately says the F word.
Yeah.
That's a weird, it's like, I thought in 2003 we were beyond that.
No, I mean, like,
I associate that with like 80s comedies.
Yeah, no, like I've been watching a lot.
That really shocked me. That
I've been watching a lot of
Freddie didn't.
Old wrestling videos recently.
You're joking,
like, mate. So like John Cena, like obviously you know who John Cena is, but like John Cena's gimmick was well, two gimmicks really. One, he was a Marine, so he salutes and stuff.
But he never was in real life.
I think he might have been. I'm not sure. Or he just likes Marines. I don't know. And fucking looks like one.
Yeah, definitely does.
And he's in a movie called The Marine. So maybe he was in The Marines. But his other gimmick was doing raps and doing rap battles. And I would say conservatively, 90% of them are probably just homophobic ones. It's pretty rough, man. Wrestling was full of naughty.
That probably blindsided me. Whereas I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's not a nice bit, is it?
She's quite a horrible character, really.
Yeah, she is, and she's not a very good actor either.
No. Also, they give her some like that funny thing, that scene where she has to like give him mouth to mouth.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't mind that actually. Yeah, that is good. But I think
it's just like Laurie's like, why are you friends? I guess it's that teenage thing where you actually have friends that aren't good friends. Aren't good for you.
Yeah, but it's weird then because by the end, Lindemann almost like cares for her a little bit and like goes to help her and stuff. So I was like, who does he like here?
Yeah,
it's kind of strange.
You know what's, sorry, just because I don't know when we talk about this, you know what's a good scene, and I always think these are the best scenes in Nightmare on Elm Street films, is when you don't know you've gone into the dream.
Oh yeah,
and there's a slip, because it's obviously, you know, if the caterpillar comes in, you're like, well, we're in dream reality.
Yeah.
It's the bit where they're all like brainstorming how to like kill Jason and Freddy.
Yeah.
And Laurie's not sat at the table with them; she's on the sofa, and she just goes, one of them's scared of fire, one's scared of water. How do we use that?
Yeah.
And they all ignore it, and then eventually they all turn on her and make her an offering, and you're like, what's going on? And
no, that is really cool actually. And that's what I like. That's again like the shift between. I like that we get. You know when Freddy gets pulled into the real world and then he has to fight without his powers. Like that's really cool because it's fun seeing Freddy scared.
Yeah, the Nancy trick.
Really good. Yeah, I love that. I thought it was really good. But yeah, I think favorite is either Bill being chopped in half or Trey. But I feel like. What can we learn from those?
Nothing from their deaths, but I think, so what not to do?
Be a fucking dickhead to your incredibly hot girlfriend. Don't do that. Anyway.
I think just that.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you know, because a lot of the ones we've acquired, we also say do double up as good life advice.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the sunscreen song.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Like, don't be a dickhead to your partner.
Yeah, he is so horrible to
Give him a cuddle after sex.
Yes, absolutely. Cuddling after sex, 100%. Yeah, I think don't be a dickhead to your partner.
Don't be a dickhead to your partner.
Ever.
Okay, do you want me to?
My other one would just be don't get possessed by Freddy. But, I mean, hopefully we won't.
Do you want me to recap then?
Yes, please.
We're doing that. I think that's a great one. Okay, don't play strip Monopoly or strip anything.
Easy.
Don't skinny dip.
Easy.
Don't be rude to shopkeepers. Don't leave the bathroom door unlocked. Don't be annoying. Don't get lost. Don't have birthday party paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Don't throw someone into Camp Crystal Lake. Don't make Jason themed food. But we can eat Jason themed food.
Nice.
Don't punch Jason.
Yes.
Don't be a dickhead to your partner.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's really good.
So that's just like solid life advice.
Yeah, it is.
We could write a book about it. Like we could, you know, like self-help books or big business.
Absolutely. Well, we're becoming almost like the anti like man podcast, basically. Like you might not get a Ferrari from listening to this podcast, but you will get some nice advice.
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
that's the next thing we do.
Let's talk about the survivors then. Who survives?
We got Laurie and Will Rollins. Have you seen the original ending to this film?
No.
They didn't use.
No.
So after the end of this, the ending we know. So forget about Jason walking out with the head.
Okay.
So that was a reshoot.
Yeah.
When they wanted to make it more ambiguous what's going to happen. Or
like,
who won.
How do we make this on? Fade one down, fade the other one up. That's how we put that together.
Got it. So what it was, it's like 6 months later or something. And Laurie and Will, they're shagging. So
they filmed this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They've just had sex, and then suddenly Will puts his hand up like this, and claws come out of it, and it's like, well, Freddy's back.
Yeah.
And then it just ends. But then I think people were like, feedback was like, test screen badly.
Yeah.
But also it's like, well, Freddy won.
Yeah. Because I do, like, as much as, you know, like, I know you just joked about it, fade down, fade up. Like, he's like, I don't understand what's happened then, to be honest. But I do, I mean, it's kind of a nice little just ending. You're like, oh shit. And then, woo.
It's like, because it's not the surprise ending of the Friday the 13th. It's a cheeky ending.
Yeah, it's very cheeky.
So
I could have done with another film of this.
I think they could do a better version of this.
I guess like I guess they really got bogged down in the rules, like why Freddy wanted Jason in the first place. You know what I mean? And I always feel like
it's very hard to come up with any framework for this. I think
I always feel like that with the Godzilla versus films, where you're just like, they have to come up with a reason that for Godzilla to fight a thing that isn't just make them fight, which is what you want.
And it's like they have that middle fight in the dream reality,
where
Freddy learns about his fear of water, and then they have the fight in the real world, where, let's face it, that's the big fight, and it's proper action. They're probably going at each other, and you know, it does feel like Freddy beats the shit out of him quite a lot, which is kind of surprising that he's that strong without his powers. Because Jason's immortal, massive.
Because I thought that would be basically the big twist, whereas like we see Freddy just absolutely pummel him in the dream world.
It makes
and
more
as soon
sense.
As he's out, he has no chance.
It's like home and away, isn't it?
Yeah, but then they kind of just go, nah, I need him to fight.
Also, it doesn't seem that scared of that water at the end.
No, it's
pretty
true,
close.
actually,
But because in the trailer, Laurie has a line where it's like, Freddy versus Jason, place your bets. Because it's like, I think that's just foregrounding the concept of the movie. It's called Freddy versus Jason. Like,
they will be fighting.
We know what we're here for. Now show it us.
Was that? Yeah, that Superman film was called. It ended up being called. Was it called Batman versus Superman? No, it wasn't.
Dawn of Justice.
Fuck.
Do you know, if you were like Henry? I mean, we said this a lot of times, but like, will there be a Superman 2?
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. Is it anytime soon? Because I've had some other offers. No. We'll call you. Is it still Man of Steel 2? Yeah. And then what day do you go? Batman. It's going to call Superman versus Batman. It's Batman versus Superman.
Sounds better for the way around. Yeah, that
alphabetical.
The thing is, I like silly films and I like watching silly films, but I don't like things being called something versus something, because it feels like it takes this sort of any kind of class out of it at all, where it's like, no, you just want to watch shit fight.
Yeah, you don't call it Rocky versus.
No.
But then it's like, again, that would have been a conversation. Who got first billing?
Freddy versus Jason.
Alphabetical.
Yeah, I guess Freddy versus Jason versus Freddy doesn't sound as good. But then I guess like you need to, it's like doing YouTube headlines with this kind of film though, isn't it? It would just be like, what would you call it if you didn't call it Freddy versus Jason? I don't know. Same as like
A Nightmare on Crystal Lake.
Yeah, but you got to think.
But no name recognition.
You got to think how thick people are.
No, I know. Like, I'm just.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. Crystal Lake Nightmares.
Crystal Lake Nightmares. Yeah, Nightmare on Crystal Lake is the best. But I think like that's the thing. It's like I don't like being like, it would be really
hockey
hard.
Fuck.
It'd be really hard to like.
It's brainstorming. No bad
if
ideas.
you were, imagine just saying like you're finishing a day of work, you work in a really serious job. Like, oh, what are you up to tonight? Gonna go watch Freddy versus Jason. Like, oh, I thought you were cool. It's not the coolest title, I don't think.
No.
It was like Godzilla versus something. Like, makes me feel sillier than
it's one of those films.
And I am silly.
You know, there's so many there's so many films like this that don't get made.
Yeah.
And you can forever speculate about how brilliant it would be.
Yeah.
Because you don't live in the reality where it gets made.
Yeah.
It's like Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Best Marvel film. We don't know.
No, yeah.
Might not have been. Who knows? It's like the thing that never happened. And same with like when we research these films. Oh, that sounded like a good idea.
Yeah.
good idea, but like there's a big gap between idea and execution.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just getting it going and put it on camera and how it plays out.
Yeah.
But this is like almost like a fantasy film.
Yeah.
There's so many versions of our reality where this never gets made.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Paramount and New Line and all the players don't get around the table.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen.
So strange, isn't it?
So it's kind of amazing that it does exist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like you were saying, what can it be?
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
So
what can we learn from him?
I feel like I've got some actionable points here.
Yeah.
Just because the film hit myself. I would just put drug Jason.
Yeah.
It's really effective.
It's really effective.
It's like even though he has supernatural physiology, it's done all fucking work. Because I joked at the beginning that they're about like 600 miles apart.
Yeah.
There were scenes cut. They were meant to be in that van for days.
Really?
And that's why they run out all the drug quite quickly. The idea is they've been like keeping him drugged for like, they were meant to be like a cycle, like a day and night cycle. Cool. To add more tension that they've been keeping him under for so long.
Right, yeah. Oh, so it'd be like, we've only got this amount and we need to get there, yeah.
But I guess like that's definitely something you can truncate.
Yeah. Although that's a good idea, I guess. How interesting is that? Because like no one's dying.
Yeah, and you only leave it in really if you're gonna milk tension from it.
Yeah.
Or it's really important for you to have some kind of continuity. But do audiences really care?
No.
If you teleport, essentially, because we've done that in other films. Like I think in Jason Goes to Hell, we get to Crystal Lake very quickly.
Drugging him's really good because
it works.
America's like drugstores as well.
We get some gummies.
I feel like some of the stuff that you can buy there, and like you try and buy over here, you're like, you get arrested.
You need to be a doctor here.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good one. My one was just like, Laurie doesn't give a fuck. Like she's really good with fire. It feels like she comes up with that fire plan really quickly.
This is not really an actionable point because she's really brave.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, put me in.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get him. Give me 15 minutes and I'll pull him out. Yeah. And you're like,
I love how so many people go, yeah, go on, you do actually. Yeah. I was gonna say myself, but you actually
her
feel
boyfriend
like,
who's been incarcerated for that. You're going, I'll go on.
So go on then. See you in a bit.
That's my woman.
I'll make a tea.
It is in the film use water, but like I don't want to go with that one because we've watched 10 other films where that does not seem, and even this film doesn't seem that, because right at the end of the film, when he has Freddy's head, takes it back to a house on the water.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen films where we've been like, does he live in the water then? Like
he does. He's always coming out of the water.
Yeah, I think that's really strange. I think they've gone. Oh, I think they've misunderstood Camp Crystal Lake, but they've gone, well, they did burn Freddy, so it would be natural to be afraid of fire. What's the opposite of fire? Water.
Elemental.
Exactly.
I think it's such a nice like elemental opposition for like visuals. Be like, also like,
makes sense.
I'm sure Freddy is afraid of fire.
Yeah.
But just, I am.
Yeah.
Do you know, I don't...
Also, I feel like if you've been burnt alive and like doing all right for yourself, really, I wouldn't be that. I'd be like, oh, that's right.
That's a good way of saying it. Like he has done well for himself.
Yeah, he's done well for himself.
Because he has died.
Yeah, good.
And now he's like a top lieutenant in hell.
Exactly.
And he can manipulate dreams.
As we know from the real world, like you can't cancel baddies. People think that they're going to get cancelled, and then look, they're fucking doing Madison Square Garden.
Fail downwards.
Exactly. So I think that's good. Drug him.
Yeah, because the other one I put was provoke Freddy to help, but I feel like then you just open a can of worms.
I don't think we can handle that, I'll be honest with you.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like, well, now we've got to deal with that problem.
Yeah.
So who are we getting in for Freddy? And then he's just going to get away from us.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Drug him. So what lessons have we got now?
Okay, so... learn how to tie a knot, at least 3 knots.
Yeah.
You on that?
Yeah.
Still on that, right?
Big time. Big time.
Go to a bar for most of the evening.
I think we'll do that fine.
Make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Bound for Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Learn how to do a fireman's lift. Master the occult. Learn telekinesis or be able to move something, use the power of magic.
Yeah.
Take a horror pen. Take the Necronomicon.
Okay.
Don't lose your head.
Yeah.
Don't lose your head. That's kind of be brave. And then 11, drug him.
Drug him. If all else fails. I like that. I like that a lot. We talked about the ending a little bit, I guess. Like... I'm pretty happy with that.
What's he doing with the head?
Great, I don't
because his head collect. Yeah, that's what you see him doing. But it's like, is he now just a collector of heads? Like, where is he putting that with Pam's? Like bookends?
Yeah,
or just like I
guess he'd be talking more. than
you know what Freddy would do? He would try to chat out Pam.
So we're saying
I could see Freddy like.
That's interesting because we're saying now that Freddy is actually in the real world now.
But then why is his head? If his head, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
because like in the real world, he wouldn't be able to wink, would he?
Yeah, that's true.
So at the end, are they back in the dream world?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
So at the end, is Jason dead again?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because even though we've done Jason X, we actually have to make the end of this square with Jason X. So has he just gone back into a period of dormancy before David Cronenberg finds him? Which is something we have to say on this podcast.
Great stuff.
Good. Gavin. Sorry. Gavin, do you think you would have survived Freddy versus Jason?
I think I could have, because I like the little group they are going on. I think I could have brought stuff to that. I liked a lot of the people in that group as well.
And also, when you go to America, you always get those little melatonin gummies.
That's true, yeah.
So you could
get them, put them in them. Yeah.
Well, next week,
are
you ready to do quite a lot of this again in the Friday the 13th remake?
I'm not ready for that one.
The boy, is he dead too?
Ma'am, we didn't find any boy.